My friend accused my husband of grooming my little brother because they're close, turned my friends against me, and now I don't know who to trust. I've been with my husband for 10 years, married for 6. He's the love of my life. We started living together pretty early on, actually. He moved in with me and my family because I lived with my parents in a really expensive city. At that time, we were just trying to make things work and save up. I have 3 younger siblings, 2 sisters and a brother. My brother is the youngest and the only boy in the family, which, I guess, makes him a little special to all of us. I always promised each of my siblings that I'd take them on a trip for their 14th birthdays. We already did it for my sister, and now at the end of this month, it's my brother's turn. Here's the thing. My husband and my little brother are close. I mean, they get along better than anyone. They're both the only boys in their families, so I guess it just makes sense they'd connect. It's sweet to watch. They share inside jokes, hang out, and bond in a way that's kind of beautiful to see. It's like they're meant to be brothers. So, last night, I was hanging out with some friends, and we were talking about the trip with my brother. I jokingly said that I'd probably be the third wheel the whole time because my husband and brother get along so well. A few of my friends laughed, but one of them gave me this look. She said it sounded weird and inappropriate if my husband was giving my younger brother more attention than me. I was like, no, it's not like that at all. They just get along well, and it's a joke. But then she dropped a bomb. She said it was inappropriate that my almost 30-year-old husband is so close to my 14-year-old brother. And then she made it worse. She said she wouldn't be surprised if it was grooming and that I was blind to it. I was in shock. I lost it. I yelled at her, told her how dare she even suggest something like that about my husband, who she's met and gotten along with herself. I told her she's the one with a messed up mind if she thinks my husband bonding with my brother is anything other than what it is. And then I left. I went home, and since then, the group chat's been blowing up. People are either saying I'm right and she's way out of line, or they're agreeing with her, saying it's a little weird. I haven't told my husband because I don't want him to feel uncomfortable, and now I'm starting to feel bad. Maybe I overreacted? Maybe I should have just walked away and let it go. But, I don't know. Everything just felt so off. So, yeah, I'm asking myself now, am I the butthole? Update 1. I've been sitting on this for a while now, trying to make sense of everything. The last few weeks have been a roller coaster, and I'm not sure if I'm even close to getting off. It all started with a comment from a friend, and now it's turned into something bigger than I ever expected. I guess I just need to get everything out, because my head is spinning and I'm not sure who I can trust right now. So, after everything went down with my friend at that hangout, I went home that night feeling like my world was crumbling. I kept replaying everything she said in my head. At first, I was so angry. How could she even think something like that? My husband and my brother are close, but in a completely normal way. They have this brotherly bond, and it's nothing more than that. But after that conversation, I started questioning myself. Am I just blind to it? Was I overreacting? Was I too defensive? The next day, I didn't talk to anyone about it. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't even mention it to my siblings or anyone else. I kept it to myself, but the more I thought about it, the more I couldn't ignore the growing doubt in my mind. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing. The thing is, I've always known that my husband and my brother get along well. They talk about games, share jokes, and just click in a way that makes sense. But maybe I've been too focused on how much I love them both that I've missed something else. Then the group chat started lighting up. People were picking sides, and it felt like I was being pulled in different directions. Some people said I was completely right, that my friend was out of line for even suggesting such a thing. They were angry for me, saying it was ridiculous. Others were more cautious, agreeing that it was a little weird how close my husband was to my brother, especially given the age difference. It didn't help that my friend kept pushing this idea of grooming, and the more I thought about it, the more it felt like I was losing control of the narrative. I spent a few days just trying to block it all out. I didn't want to get involved in the drama, but it kept following me. My friend kept texting me, telling me that she was just trying to look out for me. She said she didn't want me to get hurt, that I deserved to know the truth, even if it was uncomfortable. I didn't respond to her messages. I didn't know what to say. Was I being irrational by not taking her seriously? Was she really concerned, or was she just being paranoid? The hardest part was coming home and pretending everything was normal with my husband. He could tell something was off. I don't know if it was the way I was acting or the silence between us, but he kept asking if everything was okay. And honestly, I didn't know what to tell him. I didn't want to bring this up because I knew it would just make him uncomfortable. The last thing I wanted was for him to feel weird about his relationship with my brother. It's been so natural for them to bond like this, and I didn't want to mess that up. Then, after a few days of silence, my brother called me. He could tell something was off too. He's younger than me, but I've always felt like I had a responsibility to protect him, especially since he's the only boy in a house full of girls. He's never had a real brother figure, and I've always been grateful that my husband stepped up in that way. My brother told me he could feel a tension between me and my husband. He asked me if I was mad at him for something, and I just couldn't hold it in anymore. I told him everything. What my friend said, how it was making me question everything. My brother was quiet for a moment, and then he said something that stuck with me. You know, we've been close for years, right? I don't get why anyone would think something else was going on. That was it. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Here I was, so wrapped up in trying to protect my relationship with my husband, that I hadn't even thought about how it might be affecting my brother. He was the one who had been hurt, too, by this whole situation. He didn't ask for this. He didn't ask for his bond with my husband to be questioned by someone who didn't understand. I finally decided to talk to my husband about it. It wasn't easy. I was scared that he'd be hurt by my doubts, or worse, that he'd think I didn't trust him. But when I told him what happened, he was just as shocked as I was. He couldn't believe that anyone would think what he and my brother had was anything other than pure friendship. He told me that he never thought about their relationship in any other way. He just saw my brother as a little brother he never had, someone he could talk to and hang out with. There was no agenda. There was no manipulation. There was just love. After that conversation, I felt like a weight had been lifted off my chest. I realized that I had been letting someone else's fears and insecurities cloud my judgment. But even with that relief, I couldn't stop thinking about my friend's words. They still lingered in the back of my mind, and I didn't know how to move past them. How could someone who was supposed to be my friend accuse my husband of something so wrong? How could she say those things without knowing anything about us, about what they meant to each other? It wasn't just the accusation that hurt. It was the fact that my friend felt comfortable enough to say it, as if she thought she had the right to judge us. I started questioning the people I thought I could trust. How well do I really know them? How much do they really understand about my life, my marriage, and my family? The group chat continued to blow up. Some people said I needed to apologize to my friend, others said I had every right to stand my ground. It felt like I was being pulled in so many directions that I didn't know what to do anymore. I don't like confrontation. I don't like drama. But this wasn't just about me anymore. This was about protecting the people I love, and I wasn't about to let anyone tear us apart over something so baseless. I'm still not sure if I handled everything the right way. Part of me feels like I should have just kept quiet, let it go, and moved on. But another part of me feels like I did what I had to do to protect my family, to protect the bond between my husband and my brother. They mean the world to me, and I won't let anyone make me feel like that bond is wrong. So, I guess this is where I am now. Still trying to process everything that happened. Still wondering if I did the right thing by standing up for my husband and my brother. But at the end of the day, I know I have to protect the relationships that matter most to me. And if that means cutting ties with people who don't understand or who want to make accusations without knowing the truth, then so be it. Update 2. Things have gotten even messier since the last time I wrote. The whole situation just keeps spiraling in ways I didn't expect. I'm still trying to make sense of it all, but I feel like I've been hit from every angle. I'm going to try to break it down and hopefully get some clarity by the end of this, but honestly, I'm not sure if that's even possible right now. After the argument with my friend and everything that followed, I thought I'd just ride out the storm. I figured it'd all blow over eventually. I mean, I'm not one for drama, and I didn't want to keep making a big deal out of something that should have been nothing, right? But as the days went on, it felt like the world was watching me. My friends kept messaging me, some trying to apologize for what happened, others saying they couldn't believe how I reacted. My phone was blowing up, and no matter how much I tried to ignore it, I couldn't escape the noise. My husband, of course, noticed I was distant. He could tell I wasn't okay, even though I tried to act normal. He was being sweet, asking me if I was all right, but I kept brushing him off. I didn't want to tell him everything. The last thing I wanted was for him to feel like I was doubting him, or that I was questioning our relationship. I could feel the weight of my own thoughts pulling me down, and I didn't want to drag him into that. But the guilt was gnawing at me, and I knew I couldn't keep it all in. Finally, I sat him down. It wasn't easy. I didn't want him to think I was upset with him, or that I didn't trust him. So, I tried to explain everything. The conversation with my friend, how I felt blindsided by the accusation, and how much it hurt. I also told him how I started questioning if I was being naive. I hated that I was even thinking that, but it's like once that seed was planted, I couldn't stop it from growing. He just listened. I could tell he was trying to process it, too. He said he was sorry I had to deal with all that. He didn't think anything was wrong between him and my brother, but he understood why it was making me uncomfortable. He said he wasn't going to let anything get in the way of our marriage, and that meant he wanted to be sure I felt safe and respected in every part of our relationship, including the bond with my brother. That reassured me, but at the same time, I couldn't help but feel like I was overreacting. It felt like everything was out of proportion. I also talked to my brother about it. Honestly, I didn't want to, but I knew I had to. I didn't want him to think I was questioning his relationship with my husband. I knew he would feel hurt, and the last thing I wanted to do was make him feel like he did something wrong. So, I just asked him how he felt about the whole thing. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, but I guess I wanted him to tell me that everything was okay. He didn't exactly say that, but he said something that stuck with me. He said that he had never thought twice about their friendship because it just felt normal. He said, if anything was off, I'd tell you, right? And honestly, that made me feel a little better. My brother is a good kid, and he would tell me if something didn't sit right. But the truth is, I can't stop thinking about my friend's words. No matter how much my husband and my brother reassure me, there's this nagging feeling in the back of my head. I don't want to be paranoid, but I also don't want to ignore something if there's an issue. The worst part is, I don't even know what the issue could be. I still don't think there's anything inappropriate going on between them, but now I can't help but wonder if I'm missing something. The group chat kept going after I left that night. Some of my friends were still on my side, telling me that my reaction was completely justified, and others, well, they've been less vocal, which makes me wonder if they think I'm crazy for even questioning it. I know people have their opinions, but this feels so personal to me. It's not just about what my friend said. It's about how it's affecting me, my marriage, my relationship with my brother. It's tearing at something deep inside me that I didn't know was fragile until now. I ended up talking to my friend again, but it didn't go as well as I hoped. She didn't apologize, and I don't think she really understood why I was so upset. She kept saying she was just looking out for me, that she didn't want me to get hurt. But the way she said it made me feel like she was accusing me of being blind to something obvious. I tried to explain why her comments hurt me, but she didn't seem to get it. I don't know if I'll ever be able to look at her the same way again. Maybe she really was just trying to be protective, but it didn't feel that way. Since then, I've been trying to focus on the good. My husband and I spent the weekend just hanging out, trying to get back to some sense of normalcy. We've talked through things a few more times, and I think we're both just ready to move forward. It's not easy, though. Every time I see my brother and my husband together, I feel this little knot in my stomach, like I'm waiting for something to go wrong. I'm scared of what that might mean if it ever does. I know I shouldn't let one comment from one person change how I see everything, but it's hard. It's hard not to doubt myself when someone you trust says something so hurtful. It's hard not to second-guess everything when it feels like the world's suddenly looking at your relationship with a microscope. I guess the hardest part is that I don't know if I can ever fully shake off the doubt. I don't want to become that person who's constantly on edge, but I also don't want to bury my feelings and pretend everything's fine when it's not. Maybe that's the lesson here, being honest, even when it's uncomfortable. It's just hard to do that without feeling like I'm making things worse than they are. I'm not sure what comes next. I don't know how to make all this go away. But I'm trying to focus on what matters, my husband, my brother, my family. I just want to be sure that whatever happens, I'm doing the right thing by them. Right now, I can't help but feel like I've lost sight of what's really important. But I'll figure it out eventually. At least, I hope I will. Update 3. I've been sitting on this for a while, not really sure if I should update or if I'm just overthinking everything. But I feel like I need to. So much has happened, and I just want to make sense of it all. First off, I finally did what I was trying so hard not to do. I told my husband everything. I didn't want to, honestly. I was scared. I didn't want him to feel like I was doubting him, or worse, that I was questioning his relationship with my brother. But I couldn't keep pretending that everything was fine. So, one night after dinner, I just came out with it. I told him about my friend's comment, how it made me feel, and how it kept bothering me. He listened, like he always does, without interrupting. After I was done, he told me he understood why I was feeling the way I did. He said he didn't want me to feel uncomfortable or uncertain, and that if there was anything he could do to help, he would. It wasn't a big dramatic conversation. It wasn't the kind of thing that gets solved in one sitting. But it felt like a weight lifted off me. I didn't realize how much I'd been carrying around until I said it all out loud. And to be honest, he reassured me the way I needed him to. He said that the bond between him and my brother was pure, and that it had never crossed any line. I could see in his eyes that he meant it. That's what I needed to hear, even if it felt hard to fully believe it at first. After talking to him, I realized how much of this was really about me. I'd been so wrapped up in what my friend said that I forgot about the trust that's been built over the years. I've known my husband for so long now. I've seen how he treats people, how he treats my family. I don't know why I let one comment from someone who didn't know the full story shake me like that. I also talked to my brother. I had to. I didn't want him to feel like I was pulling away from him or questioning our relationship, too. I told him what had happened and how it had made me feel. He said he understood and wasn't bothered by it. He actually laughed a little when I told him why I was concerned. He said, "You know I'd tell you if anything felt off, right?" That made me smile. It was like he was reminding me of something I'd forgotten, the fact that I trust him. He's my little brother, and I know him better than anyone. If anything were wrong, he'd be the first one to tell me. The hardest part of this whole thing has been dealing with the fallout from my friend. I haven't spoken to her since that night, and I don't know what I even would say to her now. She still hasn't apologized, and I don't think she will. At first, I felt like I needed to explain myself to her. I wanted her to understand why I reacted the way I did. But now, I'm not sure it's worth it. She hasn't really tried to reach out or make it right, and part of me wonders if she'll ever truly understand. Maybe she will, maybe she won't. Either way, I don't think I can keep having people in my life who make me feel bad for trusting the people I love. I spent some time thinking about everything. I guess I've learned that there's a big difference between feeling protected and feeling paranoid. I don't want to be the kind of person who jumps to conclusions or overanalyzes every little thing. I want to be able to trust the people I care about, and I want them to trust me. And in the end, I realized that my husband and my brother weren't the problem here. It was my own insecurity, my own doubts, and the way someone else's words made me question everything. I don't think the tension between me and my friend will ever go away, and that's okay. I've accepted that sometimes people grow apart, and sometimes they don't understand each other the way they used to. But I'm learning to stop letting other people's opinions have so much power over me. I can't control what they think, but I can control how I respond to it. Now, things are better. My husband and I are back to normal. We've had a few more conversations, just to make sure we're on the same page, but it's all been positive. My brother and I are still close, and I feel like the bond between us hasn't changed at all. It was a rough patch, but I think we're all stronger for it. I don't feel the same weight on my chest anymore. It's like I've taken a step back and finally realized that I don't need anyone's approval to trust my family. I guess, if anything, I learned how much I value the relationships in my life. They've been there for me through everything, and I need to remember that. I can't let someone else's opinion change how I see the people I love. And I can't keep letting fear or doubt take over when things feel uncertain. Trust is a choice, and I'm choosing to trust my husband, my brother, and the people who matter most to me. So, yeah. I'm moving forward. And I think I'm finally in a place where I can stop looking over my shoulder, stop second-guessing everything. I'm just going to focus on what I know to be true and keep trusting the people I love. Maybe that's all I really need to do.